In the AWS Neptune console, you will see the graph databases in the cluster. AWS always provisions a cluster for the database because there could be one primary instance where you can read and write, plus up to 15 read replicas. You can see various information such as cluster options, whether if it's serverless or provisioned, the engine version, and the region or AZ in the grid. If you click on the database cluster, then you will see the read and write endpoints that you can use in your application. The read URL has RO in it. It indicates it's read only. In the monitoring tab, you will see various information and metrics such as CPU utilization, engine uptime, and freeable memory. In the logs and events section, you will see events such as when database instance is started and stopped, and other events. In the configuration, you will see various information such as ARN, which is Amazon resource number, that is a unique identifier for the resource. It's useful when referring to the resource and extracting its information from other resources or CloudFormation templates. Parameter group is how you can configure and customize the graph database. In the parameter group, you can specify the query timeout, enable streaming, and configure scaling. All data in the database is encrypted with AWS RDS key in Key Management Service. In the maintenance section, you can schedule maintenance, for example, upgrading the major version of the database and applying parameter group changes. Tags in AWS allow you to assign a label to the resource. Every cloud resource can have a tag. It's used for management purposes. You can have a tag like who owns the resource. Later on, these tags could be used for searching and filtering resources, for example, for tracking costs. When you create a database, you will have two options, provisioned and serverless. If you select the provisioned, then you will notice that it will require you to select database instance. It has 4 CPU and 32 gigs of memory. If you opt in for serverless option, then you don't have to manage any servers or virtual machines. Instead, you need to specify how many Neptune capacity units you need in your database. The minimum Neptune capacity unit can be 1, and then you will define the maximum Neptune capacity unit, which will be your maximum size of the database instance. Hit enter 3, then it will scale from 1 to 3 Neptune capacity units based on the demand. 1 Neptune capacity unit is equivalent to 2 gigs of memory and its proportional CPU. In the templates section, you can choose if this database is for production or development for testing. In my case, I will select development and testing template. You can give any name to your cluster and database instance. In the cluster storage, you have two options, Neptune Standard, which is a cost-effective option for many applications, whereas if it's mission-critical production application, then you can select Neptune IO Optimized. In the Neptune, database storage is increased and scaled automatically, and you don't have to configure or specify the storage size. In the availability and durability, if you select the multi-AZ option, it will launch a read replica in another AZ, which doubles the cost but increases data redundancy, high availability, and fault tolerance. In the networking, you select the VPC in which these database instances will be launched, and then you also select a subnet group. Subnet group is a list of subnets, and in AWS, a subnet is associated with a data center. In my case, I selected all 6 subnets or all 6 availability zones. That means when I launch new red replicas, it will be created in these 6 AZs. If you have subnets only designed for your graph database, then you can choose those subnets. And VPC security group is how you manage access to your graph database. Make sure you carefully review the inbound rules of the security group. AWS creates a Jupyter Notebook instance for you. The default instance size is MLT3 Medium, which costs about $40 a month. The connection between the Jupyter Notebook instance and the graph is managed by security group. If you have custom configuration for a database, then here you can select those custom parameter groups. You can enable IAM authentication to enhance the security. If you scroll down show more, then you will see the retention period for automatic backups by AWS. If you select 7 days, then you will always have 7 automated backups in AWS. Failure priority indicates which read replica will be promoted to the primary instance when the primary instance goes down. So here you can select and schedule the maintenance window. For example, you may want to do the maintenance over the weekend. You can export, audit, and the stop query logs to CloudWatch. The minor version upgrades will be applied automatically as it doesn't break anything and is backward compatible. If you want, then you can enable deletion protection, which prevents from deleting your database on AWS console or programmatically.